Are we ready? Are we ready to ask some questions?
Do it.
All right. So I'm gonna place that next to you.
All right.
Okay. So hi,
Hello.
my name is Emma Chacon, and I am a student nurse. I am working on a project currently to assess the community of Riverside. And so, what would you say? First of all, could you introduce yourself, and also, what would you say? How would you contribute to the community?
My name is Brandon Williams. I'm a professor at UC Riverside as well as at La Sierra University. I teach creative writing. Usually, I'm also teaching just a basic comp class at La Sierra. I interact through that with about 150 students each quarter, many of whom are first-time college students, many of whom it's their first college class at all. So I'm sort of their introduction to academia and to what you would expect, what you would expect as students from a professional atmosphere. So I'm sort of, for a lot of these students, I'm their first introduction to actually adult life, I suppose. So that's the way that I sort of see my view, at least.
You're definitely impacting them, challenging them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what would you say the community's strengths and weaknesses are?
The community of Riverside, the community that I interact with, the college community, what?
Riverside.
And I spent so long trying to define that what would you say its strengths are? Was that the question?
Yeah.
And weaknesses. Strengths. Let's start with strengths of the community of Riverside.
Okay.
Your opinion.
Yeah. I think I've been here since 2007 now. I got my undergrad at UCR. My master's was also at UCR. And I've pretty quickly just kind of slipped into the community of Riverside. I think as I was also a first-generation student, first-generation college student, and I think that there's a real willingness to sort of accept people where they are at this community. That I come from a small mountain town where that's not true at all. I have a story that I tell a lot of times about how I won't even wear my cowboy hat in the western town that I come from because I'm not cowboy enough for them, and I've almost gotten into fights multiple times with people because my cowboy hat is bent, and only bull riders are allowed to have bent cowboy hats. So yeah, so there's a just sort of an acceptance that everyone's kind of, at least everyone that I interact with, is sort of at the beginning of their career, their trajectory. They are at somewhere that they want to be somewhere else and are moving towards it, and so we're really open and welcoming towards trying to become something other than what we are, I suppose.
They're a little less prejudiced against certain things.
Yeah, a little less rigid,
Yeah.
even, I think, from the students who are taking my classes to the students who come up to me and are apologizing because they're dropping my class because it's too hard. I mean, there's this real openness to whatever anyone at any time is trying to do that I don't see in a lot of other places.
Would you say a part of that has to do with the fact that it's such a big city and there's such a diverse population already that you kind of tend to learn certain skills to get along with everybody, or do you think it's more just the type of people who end up being here more relaxed? How do you think it really differs from, say, like a small mountain town?
Right. For me, it definitely seems like the diversity is the largest reason, and the fact that, I mean, maybe this is just me and my own inabilities, but looking at people going from one person to the next, I can't always tell just immediately what nationality or race they might be, sometimes not even what gender, and so you have to just come with a spirit of openness when you can't immediately make a stereotypical expectation of a person in the way that a 10,000 person town like Placerville is going to have 8,000 white people, and so if there's a person who is not clearly darker than you, you're just like, well, you're white too. I mean, and just expect it to be. Yeah.
So you would definitely say that the openness of the community and their acceptance is a big strength that it has.
Yeah.
What would you say in regards to weaknesses? Reasons why it might not be so nice to live here sometimes.
Sure. I think this is probably true of a lot of places, but it's a critique that I have of many places, and specifically of here. I think as much as there are many people that are as I said, sort of a spirit of beginning, there are also a lot of people who are just kind of comfortable with what they are and where they are, and are willing to let themselves be at that level. And especially teaching, you'll see a lot of people who think because I've put effort in, I deserve something.
They're
and
settling.
so, yeah, absolutely settling. They believe that they should be judged at where they are versus where we hope that they could be. They should be judged by where they are rather than by potential. And especially as a writing instructor, as someone who thinks about art and creativity and things that almost can't be judged, I'm always looking to push students beyond the expected, beyond what they think they can do, beyond any reasonable potential, because the leaps in creativity are always so strange and so unexpected and so extreme when they happen that the change from the spring working with you, Rebecca, to the fall, that next quarter, just 2 or 3 months, it might seem like entirely different pieces as a result.
So, one more question.
Absolutely.
So what is it like for you living in this community? Positive, negative, in between, you love it, you hate it?
Honestly, I'm fairly ambivalent about the community. I live here because it's a job, and I could live anywhere else because it's a job. There are certain things about it I like the the atmosphere that I was talking about previously. But yeah, I don't know that there's anything more or less to recommend it in my view than another place. But I think I have met a lot of really cool, really incredible people here, and I would like to believe that would be true anywhere else. And that as I've lived here longer, it just the people make it worthwhile, and I'd hope that would be true anywhere. It seems that would be something that would be true anywhere. Yeah.
What would you say employment is like in Riverside, as far as like being able to find a job? Could you get another job easily if you wanted to?
Yeah, for adjunct professors, it's a weird thing where it's both really easy and really difficult. I got in at UCR because I'm close with the head of the department, and so he just texted me. He's like, "Hey, apply," and I did. And then he texted me back. He's like, "Okay, cool, we can get you these jobs." At La Sierra, no, thank you. At La Sierra, I got an email the Friday before the Monday that classes started that another professor had dropped a class and asked if I could take it over. They'd never worked with me before. I had met Sari once, who is my connection there, I guess. She's the only person in the faculty I've met there, quite honestly. I had met her once previously, and she knew nothing about me other than that I had graduated from UCR and we had decently close ties. I could probably get a job at, RCC or something like that. But, I mean, adjuncts don't stay adjuncts for very long because the pay is atrocious, and as we talked about previously, the difficulties with email and grading and students that don't care and all the rest of it. And yeah, you could make an argument, and they do make an argument that it's minimum wage, but it's probably much less than that. So
that is really bad.
It's incredibly bad. Yeah. UCR pays more, but La Sierra, RCC, they don't pay very much at all, and there's no guarantee of how many classes you'll be able to teach, so you can't piggyback on 7 or 8 classes and get minimum wage for each of them and move it up or anything. I've got one class at La Sierra for next quarter, and it's not a guaranteed class, so I might not be teaching there at all next quarter.
So you have to be really flexible with your
absolutely,
schedule and everything.
at all times, and you have to try to have open communication with as many different schools as possible if you're looking to pick it up. I know the person that I went to ask advice about adjuncting, the first thing that he said to me, thank God I have another job, I am also a transcriptionist, but he told me that I needed to look up the welfare rules, because you can lose classes so quickly, and by the time that you lose a class, it's too late to pick up another one. So he's gone on unemployment. He said he's been adjuncting for 8 years, and he's gone on unemployment 6 times in those 8 years.
majority of the
Yeah,
time.
each time it'd be for a quarter, and then he'd drop out because he'd get another job or whatever. So I mean, these are the people that are supposed to be like teaching our students, and the statistic is that something like 70% of classes at this point are taught by adjunct instructors in colleges throughout the nation, which includes, I mean, at UCR, Carly, myself, and Josh Hardina, we teach lower level classes, lower divs, we teach upper divs, we teach the workshops that are the heart of our program. I mean, we teach a decent majority, maybe majority is the wrong word, but a decent number of classes every quarter, and the students have no idea who the adjuncts are versus the real professors. I mean, so...
You're all just indiscriminately professors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's... So there are a ton of jobs available because of how terrible all the jobs are.
So you get your pick, but they're all horrible.
Exactly.
As far as, do you know anybody outside of, say, specifically, say, like UCR? Anybody in general that you know, maybe family, friends? And is anybody searching for a job at the moment? Is anybody unemployed and they've been unemployed for a while?
My
You
uncle...
don't have to name.
No, of course,
Sure,
you know.
yeah. Yeah, no.
Would you
I
say
mean,
this community, like,
in this community,
to find a
I honestly, I'm not really sure. I was here for one very specific reason, which is to get my MFA, and
You're in there.
although actually there are a few people, Min, for instance, who have been looking for even adjuncting positions, and that like first one is really hard to find.
Because you need that experience.
Exactly.
And to look good to get in.
Yeah, and so, keeping it within our small group, the creative writing, the majors, the MFAs, once you've graduated, unless there's a position, unless you've really impressed, like, I know the head of the department, he, for some reason, thinks I'm halfway decent, and so he pulled me in immediately, but I'm the only one of our graduating class for whom that's true of. And there's one other that has now been picked up and is teaching a class at UCR as well, but it's a year after that person graduated. And that was, I believe, the first class that person is teaching. So yeah, that like first step, if you don't know anyone outside of the program, if you haven't somehow distinguished yourself, if you don't have a book, there are a ton of reasons that you can't get anything, because, we graduate 15 people a year. Every program that has an MFA graduates 15 to 20 to 30 people a year, and we're all looking for the exact same thing. There are thousands of new people that come out every year, and they want to take that adjunct job for a year or two, but there are no full professor jobs. So yeah, there's a weird like bottleneck that's been happening. Yeah.
Competing for all these positions.
Yep.
And so you have to know someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you have to know someone, you have to have impressed someone, or, I mean, I was going to say my teaching evals are good or something, but even that's not true. They couldn't care less about that. It's either you've got a book out that's successful, and that's true anywhere you want to teach, whether you're a mathematics instructor or whatever. You need to have that successful book out, or you need to know someone. Because it doesn't really matter who we are as adjunct instructors. I mean, maybe I'm the best adjunct ever, maybe I'm the worst adjunct ever. It doesn't really matter. We're just teaching the same material for the most part, so they can replace us whenever they want to, and
You're dispensable.
entirely disposable.
So this topic is a little bit different. Do you have a family doctor? And
No.
How easily accessible is your healthcare?
Well, where do you get healthcare services?
As an adjunct professor, we do not get healthcare.
So do you have healthcare coverage at the moment?
No.
Like, I'm gonna be rebel. Right. I know people that are. It's hard right now.
Yeah. As an MFA student, we were given healthcare, and so I just graduated. I graduated in May, I graduated in May, and our healthcare went through August. So I've got the necessary 6 months for this year. So I plan to start looking at that within a month or two. So I don't have to pay the penalty for this year.
First of all, before you, when you were still covered, where would you go seek healthcare services if you needed them?
We only went that once. Where was that place? It was
We went to Medical Center in Corona, because that's where your
like the ear thing.
yeah, because the campus was closed during the summer or something, so you couldn't
Oh,
get
that's right. We had
healthcare during that.
we have the
Was it Blue Cross?
campus. health thing that I think we're supposed to go to or
directly
something.
through the
Yeah.
But because UCR was closed at the time,
That's right, 'cause
we
it
had
was
to take them
or something.
where
Corona.
they covered it. Yeah.
Was it just like a general clinic, or was it like a more specific it wasn't a hospital or anything like that? It was a small care center.
No, I think I want to say it was like a small.
It was a small
Okay.
clinic. Yeah, that sounds right.
And now that you're not covered, if something were to happen to you tomorrow, what do you? Let's not talk about that.
This is a conversation we've had before.
I mean,
Feasibly, what would be the plan? Obviously it wouldn't be ideal, but where would you go of all the locations around you that are available? Do you know of one specifically, any preference?
I mean, my family has always gone to Kaiser's, so I would go to Kaiser because I know that word, that name. But yeah, I have no concept. Like even the time that we went there,
I had to figure it out.
I had a blockage in my ear or whatever, and so I was I could barely hear, and it was getting worse. And I mean, I had been deaf for like 3 days when I was finally like, all right, fine, let's go do something. Yeah, I taught class for like 2 days and could not hear. I did. I was like staring at it. Yeah.
That day, Brandon was like really intensely staring.
Because he was trying to read your lips.
People keep asking questions behind your back and you're not turning around. It seems like you're ignoring them. But you just
I'm sure it happened multiple times. Absolutely.
But it's not easily accessible because UCR was closed or something.
Well, at that time it was, or the
Yeah,
hours
it was
are
like a
off.
weekend or something.
Yeah, they're very
yeah.
weird hours. And just from what he's told me about it, there was very busy
Yeah.
part. I don't know.
Have I actually told you? I've never been there. I don't.
This is from what you.
I don't know how accessible or inaccessible it is. And I'm
Like, you even
I'm
know
a
where it is.
stone-hearted, hard-headed. I just.
Have you ever had?
When it comes to healthcare, that's what
Don't be
it's.
one of those guys, and find something out.
It's like pulling teeth to see
I
if
know.
You have a heart attack.
My
Like,
goal
that's
is to
fine.
live to like 37. That's like if I can make it that
You're on your
far.
way. It's not-
I know. That's what I'm. So far, I'm pretty successful.
So, what, in your opinion, is probably the biggest health problem for Riverside as far as the general public? For instance, it could be something to do with drugs. Maybe there is an excessive amount of young teenage pregnant mothers, or obesity. Get what I'm saying?
Sure.
What do you see around that you often think like, wow, that's a real problem here?
I mean, I think obesity certainly seems reasonable. Also, I've noticed this quarter I'm teaching a 100-person class, and every time that it's a poetry class, so every time there's been a poem up about like motherhood or family or something, I've gotten like 15 to 20 like hands raised immediately from women who are pregnant or have children. And I mean, I don't know anything about their lives or situations, but out of 100 students, it has seemed rather an exorbitant number.
Would you say some of them are very young women too?
Yeah, I mean, as far as again, it's a 100-person class. It's kind of dark. I can't always like see exactly who the faces are, but yeah, it when they raise their hand and what they're sharing is, this reminds me of what happened with my third kid. I've been like, whoa. Yes, it does.
Thank you for sharing.
I like how they wrote the question. What seems to be the gossip center or the informal communication network of this community? So basically, how do you hear about what's going on in the community?
For example, she said that you guys have a Riverside Craigslist where she found a lot of information and stuff. Like
Twitter.
Farmers Market where they post a lot of posters, whatever's going on.
Quite honestly, I know nothing that's happening at any point in time about anything. It's completely true.
Information from me.
I ask my students.
Your students.
Yeah, I mean, even to the point of, I mentioned, Jesus, and now that I'm going to try to make this example, I can't remember, Snapchat. I mentioned Snapchat in my La Sierra class one time, and a girl raised her hand, a woman raised her hand and said, "You don't actually know what that is, do you?" And I'm like, "Of course I do. One of my students last year told me about it."
Would you say there's definitely a lot of driving, especially like computers, a a lot of information advertised, for instance, on billboards or anything that's actually relevant to the community. For instance, on our way here, we saw a billboard of Kaiser talking about their diabetes walk.
Yeah. We also, at least on the freeways, it seems like we have a lot of those like switching billboards, you know, like every 15 or 30 seconds there'll be a new ad, and that is not something that we have up in Northern California. So, yeah, I think billboards and places where we are stationary, where there are a lot of people, I think they take a lot of advantage of that here, which suggests that they're probably pretty important. Because I mean, in Northern California, you've got a billboard and it stays up for a month, and that's just what that does. And then here, I'm like, we're in traffic. There are 7 different ads for Market Broiler or whatever. You know?
You get a picture of what's around you.
Yeah.
So how could this community, like realistically speaking, within like a year, how do you think this community can improve and equity? Because, for example, she said public transportation would definitely improve. Maybe stop the construction on the freeway, just have it on a certain amount of days.
Death to the 91,
I
right?
don't even think we want. I thought the 10 was bad.
Every accident I've ever had has been on the 91. I believe it. How would you?
I know.
Maybe like 5 years.
I don't know. I really, even though I've been here off and on since '07, I still don't really feel like a part of the community very often, very fully. I mean, I've been talking a lot with faculty about ways to improve like the creative writing department, but I've never even taken public transportation here. I have no idea how public transportation could improve or what it's even like. I know we have like free something for students, or I know nothing about a lot of that stuff. So honestly, I don't even feel comfortable talking about what the issues might be at this point, because I'm not around them very much. Yeah. Yeah.
Would you say there's any problems with like safety? Is there, you know, for instance, do you feel like there's criminal activity that you might see that you know of? Do you feel like there's enough of a police force making sure that the community stays safe?
I definitely think, you know, Susan Strait lives maybe a mile from us, and she's talking all the time about how many people are dying in her neighborhood. And I don't think it's anywhere near as extreme as she thinks it is, as like, you know, an older white woman who lives on her own, and you know. But at the same time, I went out for a walk one day as it was like getting dark, and there was just a guy like standing out in front of the apartments. I was walking on Magnolia, and there was a guy just kind of standing out of his apartment, and he had like his hand in his pocket, and I like walked past him, and he was just kind of staring at me, and as I kept walking, I could feel myself like bunching my shoulders, like there is going to be a bullet between these two, and I cannot do anything to like, I can't break out into a run, because then you know. So there are certainly moments of just like absolute abject terror, but that could also be me. I mean, making everything be abject terror as well, possibly.
Would you say there's possibly a homeless problem? I haven't seen any homeless people yet. I'm sure they're there, but would you say it's a problem? Would you say it's like probably the same amount you see in other cities?
Yeah, it seems, from what I've seen, it seems reasonably about the same as other cities that I've been in and around, although it's possible that my view here could be skewed. My brother is currently homeless, and we've had some issues recently where I've had to go home for some major personal tragedies, and I've seen him a few times, and I've seen the people that he hangs around with. We've gone to pick him up, we've gone to, you know, bring him to the funeral home, all that kind of stuff. And so I've seen a lot of it in Sacramento and in Placerville and in other places where I might normally not see it. So it's possible that I'm seeing it a lot more in one place than I am in the other, but roughly it seems about equal from what I've seen.
So is he homeless in Riverside? Or?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, he's up in Northern California. So I see a lot of the homeless community up in Northern California, and I don't see it as often here, but it feels roughly equal. So it's possible if I did not, you know, if I didn't know him as often, exactly, it would seem much more exorbitant here, possibly. I don't think so. Well, they've up in Northern California, where with my brother, he's around like a very young homeless population because he's very young. He's 8 years younger than me, so he's 21. Whereas here, it seems like a lot of the homeless are that sort of indeterminate age where you can like hold up a sign and be like, I was a veteran of something, and we'll just kind of accept it, kind of. Yeah.
And then of the homeless people that you've seen, were they like wheelchairs or?
The ones around us
Think
are.
about the panhandler that's always by our off ramp.
Yeah, the guys that are on our off ramps at least are usually within relatively decent health. I mean, they can at least stand on their own. And
That you are.
oh yeah, yes, we are being recorded, and I find that entirely acceptable.